안녕하세요. 박정철 원장입니다.
Hello, I'm Dr. Park Jong-chul. Today, I brought a fixture with me. In the last lecture, we talked about the design and materials of the fixture. In the next lecture, I'm going to talk about the surface of the fixture. Today, I'm going to talk about how the implant is healed within our body. The changes in the design and the surface of an implant has been made to make the healing faster and the function better. So the process of implant healing will be discussed in the context of the changes of the fixtures. The word osseointegration, I believe everybody knows. It is the word to explain the implant healing. In healing the implant, it will determine whether the implant surgery will be success or a failure. That is the most basic concept. Osseo means bone. Integration means combination of things that have been separated. Professor Brenner Mark, who developed the modern implant, coined the word. It was the word to describe the relation between the implant and bone. On the left-hand side, when titanium attaches to the bone, osseointegration is achieved. On the right, when there is connective tissue is inserted between the two, fibrous integration is achieved. When Brenner Mark implant came out in the United States, the blade-type implants were used from the company called Linco. It was connected to teeth. The fibrous integration worked like a PDL of a tooth, but due to mobility of the implant, it ended up as a failure. Therefore, fibrous integration can be considered as an implant failure. Professor Brenner Mark defined the osseointegration. Since then, various definitions of osseointegration came out. Mostly, they were about the interface between bone and implant. There are functional definitions like by Jove, such as implants are strongly fixed and maintained in bone without symptoms during functioning. Professor Albrechtsen defined it from the body reaction perspective. Whatever definitions are used, there are two perspectives of explaining when it comes to the implant healing. The first one is the primary stability of an implant. The second one is the secondary stability, which is the osseointegration. The primary stability, after drill hole is made in bone, implant is placed. It describes how the implant is fixated on bone. The primary stability is decreased over time. The secondary stability, when an implant is placed in bone, the new bone is formed surrounding the bone, and the implant is integrated into bone, and the secondary stability goes up over time. That means the primary stability goes down as time goes by. Meanwhile, secondary stability goes up, and the total stability dip is created at some point. That is called the stability dip. Efforts have been made to improve the design and surface of a fixture to decrease the total stability dip. We need to look at from the primary stability to address the issue. First, the primary stability. Lau et al., according to his paper, osseointegration is the prerequisite for the successful implant healing. Primary stability is the prerequisite to acquire the osseointegration later, according to him. That much primary stability is important. In order to place an implant, we make a hole in bone, bigger diameter implant than the drill hole is inserted in bone to get the stability from the cortical and cancellous bone. In the cortical bone, the blood vessels are destroyed and stress happens. Albrechtsen called it press fit. The width of the press fit is about 1 millimeter. In the cancellous bone, the reduced or pushed bone chips gather around an implant, contributing to the primary stability. That way, implant primary stability can be achieved. Lau et al. In 2012 said the primary stability is achieved due to the mechanical engagement of the cortical bone. In summary, the primary stability can be achieved to make implant have more contact with the bone so that appropriate strong fixation can be achieved. We saw the implant healing curves. The primary stability goes down over time, and we need to heighten the starting point of the curve. That means more stability should be achieved at the beginning, and if you increase the area of implant bone contact, total stability can be heightened. As we saw in the previous lecture, compared to the straight design, the tapered design has more contact with the bone. As I said before, implant design has been changed to increase the primary stability. Such heightened primary stability contributed to the loading time. Immediate loading, immediate functioning has been achieved with this increased primary stability. We are doing a lot of one-day implant, so this has contributed to enable the one-day implant. Next, let's have a look at secondary stability, which is the osseointegration. The secondary stability can be attributed to the newly formed bone around the implant. We talked about the definition of osseointegration. This is the process for the secondary stability. If you look at the mechanism of the osseointegration, primary stability is achieved at the time of the placement. Within several hours, blood clots are formed, and within 24 hours of the placement, new vessels begin to form. After that, by day 4, macrophage and monocytes migrate to the site. Clots change to mesenchymal cells, which were derived from the bone marrow near the new vessels. Mesenchymal cells differentiate into osteoblasts and attach to implant surface and accumulate the collagen matrix at day 5 to 7. New bones are collected near implant. At week 4, anastomosis happens between the new bone formed on the implant and the new bone from the bone. At this point, a stability dip is made where the primary stability goes down and the secondary stability is progressing. At 8 to 12 weeks, implant is completely surrounded by lamella bone, which attach to implant surface, completing the early osseointegration and make the implant function, that is the secondary stability. Let's have a look at in more details on the cell level. After implant is placed, when blood clots are properly formed, as you can see, the fibrin network is made. The fibrin network formed on the implant surface, osteoblasts would adhere to, and such osteoblasts would proliferate, making new bone. The new bone would be ossifying, creating the osseointegration. This process is the process of osseointegration. creating the secondary stability. The osseointegration mechanism is explained by Davis with two things: contact osteogenesis and distance osteogenesis. First, let's have a look at the distance osteogenesis. As you can see, from the host bone toward the implant, bone is formed and progressing. On the surface of the implant, the blood clots should adhere. Otherwise, the osteoblast cannot exist there. Therefore, bone formation is only progressing from the host bone to the implant. This is the osseointegration mechanism observed in the machined implant in the past. Next, contact osteogenesis process, implant surface, and host bone. From both of them, new bone is generated. Implant surface, if it is rough, the bone is formed like this. Depending on the implant surface, osseointegration and the time taken for that would differ. In the implant healing process, the secondary stability can be achieved from the new bone formed near the implant by improving the implant surface to maintain clots, to make osteoblasts attach better. New bone is formed fast, leading to fast secondary stability. So the secondary stability will increase the total stability of the implant. For the stability of implant healing, it depends on the fixture design that can increase the primary stability. Implant surface improvement can increase the secondary stability so that the total stability for the implant healing can be increased to stabilize the implant treatment. So we have looked at implant healing, and let's summarize what we have discussed today. Most dentists think osseointegration is the implant healing process, but today I talked about the implant healing from the two perspectives of primary stability and secondary stability, because the implant fixture used clinically have been changed from these two perspectives. Implant fixture changes can be attributed to other factors as well, but these two have been very important factors for the change. The taper design of implant fixture increases the interaction with the bone, increasing the primary stability. The primary stability increases total stability, providing stable osseointegration environment. Second, the implant surface changes have shortened the secondary stability, reducing the overall implant healing time. At the end of the day, the advancement in implant design and surface has increased the primary and the secondary stability, accelerating the total implant healing time and maximizing the stability. Today, we had the second fixture lecture. From the fixture's perspective, we talked about the implant healing. We reviewed some of the fixture review in the previous lecture, and we also touched upon a little bit on the fixture surface, which will be handled in the next lecture. Implant fixture changes have been connected to the implant healing process. In the next lecture, I'll talk about the implant surfaces that can increase the secondary stability. Thank you.